Good morning.
We're back.
Rotate your device.
Uh-oh.
I didn't do that.
Oh, you didn't push your wand.
What wand?
This wand. So we're having a little technical difficulties. So when you push this wand right here, before you turn it sideways and before you start the live video, it'll adjust the screen. You didn't do that, so now it's going to be like I did the first time.
Look at you, old techie. Should I hit it now?
Maybe. There you go. Yeah.
Okay.
See, mine doesn't let me hit it when I've already started the live video.
Oh, okay.
I have to hit it before, but yours, I think, worked out fine.
Okay.
Ah.
We're learning new stuff.
Yes.
Well, hello, everyone. So here we are in another episode of our super interesting show. And I'm Carolina Sassi with Robert Slack LLC.
And I am Amy Denter with Compass Florida LLC.
And today we're going to talk about the ASIS contract, which is the most used contract in today's
In Florida.
real estate purchases
At
in
least down
Southeast
here.
Florida.
Yeah, Florida. Let's preface that.
Right? And we're going to talk about what happens once we are
Under contract.
and you know, what are the steps. So you want to start, Amy?
Sure. So usually this is a very exciting time, and it can be very confusing. There's a lot of time frames and deadlines that you have to be aware of, otherwise you can breach a contract. So it's a very important time to pay attention to detail, and that's what your realtor will do, and your title company, and your lender. So we all are working together as your team to make sure that you have a successful transaction and you are not losing, you know, your escrow deposit, which can be thousands of dollars,
Right,
which is thousands of dollars.
Yeah. So usually at the beginning, once everybody has signed the contract, we will send to all the parties interested a timeline with the most important dates and contingencies that we're going to review right now, so that everybody's aware of what's needed and when, because our job is to make sure that you have, like Amy said, a smooth transaction with no problems, and so you can sit back and relax and do what you're supposed to do, but we're here to guide you through it.
Exactly. So once the offer is accepted, you generally have 3 days to get your escrow deposit, which is kind of like showing the seller you got skin in the game, that you care, you have something on the line that you don't want to lose.
Right.
Hi, Milo.
Who's Milo?
Pink. Right there.
Oh, we're surrounded by cats now.
Anyways, so your escrow payment is super important, and generally you have up to 3 days to get that into the title company.
Right.
You can either send a wire or you can deliver a cashier's check from your bank, but no cash and no personal checks will be allowed. So either should be a wire or a hand-delivered cashier's check.
Correct. And the other thing about the escrow deposit, make sure it's a substantial amount,
Yes.
not $1,000, or, you know, usually it's a 3 to 5% of the purchase price or the contract price. And like Amy said, this shows your commitment to the transaction and lets the seller know that you're committed. Okay, you're in.
Yes, it just shows that you really want the property, and like I said, it's going to provide the seller comfort that you're not going to let the transaction go south because you've got thousands of dollars on the line. Okay. The next thing you have to do with your lender is your loan application. That is usually if you've got a good pre-approval or a DU, you've already done this stage of the process, which is the loan application. Some people may just have a regular pre-approval and they haven't done it yet. So generally, I usually provide 2 to 3 days after acceptance to get the loan application in. What do you usually put there?
I usually use the default, which is 5 days. That will give the buyers a little more time to, you know, shop around if they need to. And so I just leave it as the default in the contract.
Okay.
I think that's a reasonable amount of time, but
yeah. It just depends on,
yeah,
I guess, where they're at with their process of approval.
and how quickly you want to move within the contract.
Correct. And then you have your applications if the property is a condo or if it's a home in a association. So you need to go through your application process with the
management company or the association. And a lot of times homes, single family homes in a homeowners association, they will not need an approval, but our job is to verify that, you know, if that's necessary or not. So
Yes.
and all of this, what we're talking about here is all of these things are happening the first week of the contract.
Simultaneously.
So
Yes.
that this is going to be when you're going to work the hardest, and us to be on top of every task and making sure everything gets done timely.
Yes, absolutely. And then you also are going to order and schedule your home inspection. So,
Very, very important.
super important. So this allows you to get an insight to the maintenance, or, you know, the condition. I'm sorry, that's the word I wanted to find.
Right.
The condition of the home. So electrical, plumbing, roof, leaking, mold, pests, if there's termites or
Pools.
rodents, pools.
Roofs. So anything that's important that you need to know, this is the time to find out about, and so that you can make an informed decision whether you are willing to take the property as is or negotiate with the seller what needs to be done. Are we getting a credit at closing, etc., etc. And the other thing I was going to say, during the inspection, you're also going to get a very important couple of documents, the 4-point inspection and the wind mitigation, that will help you secure your home insurance.
Correct. And hopefully be able to get you a better price with discounts, because you have wind mitigation, like hurricane shutters, impact windows and doors. The roof is very well tied down, because in Florida we have hurricanes and tornadoes inside the hurricane. Oh, flood
Fun.
insurance. Flood insurance.
Flood insurance, yeah.
Yeah. So, what else? Oh, appraisal.
Well, yeah. Usually, what happens is, personally, I like to wait for the inspection to be done to jump into the appraisal. Why? Because if things go south or unexpected or like not as we wanted to, we want to try to avoid that expense to our clients,
Yes.
right? Because the inspection is going to run, depending on the property, of course, between $250 and $600 or more.
Yeah.
And the appraisal is going to be another $500-$600. So we want to make sure we're done with the inspection. So now we can move on to the appraisal, and we're good with that. Let's spend the money on the appraisal and move forward.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah. So the appraisal would be the next contingency, and the appraisal, as we spoke in a previous episode, it's when, you know, a professional is going to determine the value of the property,
Yes.
so that the bank can say, you know, this is what we're going to issue the loan for.
So the bank is the one that orders the appraisal.
Right.
And the appraiser works for the bank, making sure that the property is worth what they're loaning the money for.
Correct.
Yeah. So sometimes you could have an issue where the property doesn't appraise for the purchase price, and so you have to go back and kind of renegotiate with the sellers. Either they lower the price to appraisal value, or they're going to require you to come out of pocket and pay above appraisal value. And then at that point, the buyer can decide if they want to do that, or if they want to go ahead and cancel and withdraw from the contract.
Right. So it's another instance for negotiation. And also keep in mind that besides your closing costs, these are pre-closing costs, right?
Yes.
Appraisal, inspection, your HOA application, and if it's a single family house, a survey. What else? A condo review if needed. So all those are pre-closing expenses.
Estoppel letter.
Estoppel letter. Well, estoppel letter is paid by the seller, right? Yeah.
Yeah, generally. Sorry.
So things that you need to keep in mind, not only the closing costs are, you know, costs you need to consider, but also the cost during the transaction, which I would say usually run about $1,200 up to $1,800, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Generally.
So what would be next?
Okay, your title commitment, which is done by the title company. So they run through and make sure that you have a marketable title on the house, and that there are no encumbrances or clouds on the title that could potentially transfer over and really cause a mess for the buyer. So if there's any liens on the property from, like, let's say a contractor or PACE, people do those PACE loans.
Right.
So that has to get paid off. Usually that's done by the seller at the time of closing, so that would kind of negate that issue there. But you got to know what's going on, who's trying to make a claim on the property.
Right.
So the
right.
title commitment says you have a clear and marketable title. The house has no encumbrances on it.
For those of you that do not know, the PACE loans are those loans that you engage in to where you basically they provide you with like new roof or hurricane
Impact
windows and everything
and
that's
solar,
like
right? Do they do the solar
the
ones
solar
too?
thing too.
Yeah.
And that goes directly. They discount it with your tax payments, right? So it goes attached to your tax payments every year, right?
I'm not sure. To be frank with you, I'm not quite sure how the PACE loans work entirely. I'm not sure if it goes to your tax payments or if it's an additional payment. I just know that they do go on title.
Right.
They have a lien on
and
the
they
property.
have the seller has to pay at closing.
Yeah.
Yeah, but just if you didn't know, you can look for it. PACE loans. It's for home improvement and usually is for energy efficient.
Yes.
Items and safety, like the roof, the windows, and the solar panels, like Amy was saying.
Yeah.
All right.
And then we have the loan commitment and clearing conditions. So that's after the appraisal comes in. They've reviewed the buyer's taxes and income and debt to income ratio, and the appraisal comes back, and they're like, "Great, you are committed for this loan now. We're going to give you this loan." There might be like little details that they have to clear, what we call conditions. That's generally minor, little tiny things. Done, you're ready to close.
And this is why we usually have this conversation at the very beginning.
Yes.
With our clients. It's like, try not to do anything that will change the condition of your financial situation.
Do not go buy
during
a
the
big
period.
item that needs you to use your credit.
And not only that, like some people has money under the mattress or cash here and there, or somebody like gives them money during the transaction, and like all of those transactions or cash transactions are just not, they cannot justify those, so they will hurt you. So you have to avoid any movement that is not justified, that you haven't before discussed with your lender.
Yes.
Like big purchases, big furniture, cars, trips, even paying credit cards. You might think that that's a good move to make.
Not in the middle of a transaction.
Not in the middle of a transaction. If you haven't spoke to your lender first, make sure that it's okay, that any monetary transaction, it's discussed with your mortgage broker, with your lender beforehand, because that could hurt you and stop you from closing.
Yes, and it could just be a very bad situation.
Yeah.
And then you also have letter of approval for the HOA and condo association. So you got to be able to provide that to be able to close. And then pretty much you have your walkthrough, and then you have the wonderful, exciting day of signing all the documents and closing and getting your keys and moving in.
And just so you know, the walkthrough is not a second inspection, guys. The walkthrough is just what the name says. It's a walkthrough,
making sure the condition of the house was the same as it was when you
first saw it.
Yep.
Right? And to make sure that whatever was negotiated during the inspection was done, right? So if there was a hole in the roof or in the ceiling and we negotiated for the seller to fix it, we're going to make sure that they did and that they did it properly, right?
Yes.
So that's basically it. The walkthrough shouldn't last longer, depending on the property, more than 20-30 minutes, right?
Oh, definitely. Yeah, no.
So, and then, it's time to party.
Woo, woo. Everybody's excited on closing day.
So, that was good. I think that if you guys have any questions about what we just went over, we would like to hear from you.
Yes.
Put your questions in the comments. And let us know what other information you would like to hear from us. We're here to help you, like we said. And we're looking forward to see you next week.
Yes, and don't forget, this is an amazing time in the market. Our market is very, very fast and hot. So if you are thinking of selling your property, please reach out to us. We'd love to sit down with you and, talk about, how we could sell your home for the least amount of time and the most amount of money.
Yep. Give us a call.
Yay. Have a great
Bye.
day, guys.
Take
Enjoy
care.
your weekend.
How do you do this now? Okay. You see, I can't. Amy, I don't think I went live. Did I?
It says live.
Oh my gosh, I didn't. Did I?
Yes, everybody's waving.
Where?
Yeah,